and I'll do 3 rounds of tapping, and I'll just think and say something like, I'm calm, I let go, I release my stress. And then boom, the heart rate variability increases, indicating I'm more in a parasympathetic rest and digest state. And it can happen in as little as 30 seconds.
Yeah. And what I also like about EFT is some people, when they're in a negative perspective, it's hard to be like, think about what you want. Think about what you want to manifest. That's hard. So with EFT, you can also just talk about the problem. Hey, I'm really stressed over the economy. I'm really stressed with my job. I'm really stressed being inside right now. I'm feeling really isolated. So you can kind of just talk about the problem with yourself while you're tapping these different meridian points. And it's helpful because sometimes people just want to talk about it. And if you don't have someone to talk about it with, you can just talk it to yourself while you hit these meridian points, which then calms down the sympathetic nervous system, which helps you process it better. And then as you calm down from it, then I recommend switching. Like, hey, I'm attracting health in my life. I'm doing the right things to be healthy. I'm really blessed and fortunate in my health. And you can kind of do some of the attractor factor stuff where you focus more on what you want to pull in versus the problem. But it's hard because if your nervous system is on edge, you kind of have to calm it down before you can get appreciative and grateful and thankful.
You're totally right. I already feel better. I was noticing I was taking some more belly breaths than I was when we first started just after doing that. So the clavicle one, I don't know why, but the clavicle one for me, if you can only do one, like if you're driving a car for some reason, or you're in a place where you're in panic mode where you can't think about going through the full motions of the EFT, then even just clavicle, I'm calm, just something like that could be enough to settle you down. And like I said, this is not just something we're making up. There's practitioners that they literally only do EFT. That goes to show how powerful it is, meaning they're not doing lab testing and supplements and other things that we're doing. They're just teaching you to do EFT, and that's their practice, and that is successful. So it does work.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the thing that's bugged me the most right now is the hysteria, because I personally don't think it's proportionate, and I'm just concerned that the hysteria will go on a little bit too long and have a negative impact on the economy. And I want people to have their jobs and their lifestyle and be able to support their family. So I'm more concerned longer term with the economy than this blip. We're going to get through the viral blip, no problem. And we should still social distance, and anyone that has risk factors should do more in quarantine. But yeah, so we have to talk about, what the issues are, and then also what strategies are. So you already mentioned the EFT. That's great. Also, do something to boost your immune system. Most people are talking about washing their hands and social distancing. That's the equivalent if you have a income issue, like you're in debt. That's the equivalent of like cutting down your spending. Great. That's awesome. You cut down your spending, you curtail your spending. But what about the other side, which is increase your income? Hey, let's do some gigs. Let's Uber at night. Let's try to make more calls at work. Let's try to maybe work harder or think about it differently, or apply for a different job, meaning we're trying to get more income in. So getting more income in my example, is getting a higher level of immune function.
Yeah, why is that not the headline? Explain to me why you think, okay, if it were so important and the media or whoever's putting out all these kind of fear-based articles, if they cared that much about the old people or whoever or society, why would there not be, hey, here's so-and-so's top 10 strategies to boost your immune system? Why is that not the top headline?
Well, I think if it bleeds, it leads, right? If it's solution oriented and it puts you in the driver's seat and makes you feel good about it, is not as much traction, not as much clicks. So I think a lot of it, you have to understand that there's money to be made on manipulating your fears and emotion. And when you understand that, you're in the driver's seat. So once you get that perspective, you're in the driver's seat. So common sense things. And again, these are generalized things. We have people out there that are like, well, you have to customize it. Hey, this is not the time for customization. These are good generalized tips. Number one, vitamin D levels, getting them up as adequate. Great study posted this morning on adequate vitamin D being very helpful to acute respiratory infections. Now, again, if you have vitamin D and you take too much of it, fine. But, most people are low in vitamin D, especially at this time of the year. Number two is a lot of the herbs and nutrients we mentioned last week. We can go over them briefly. Astragalus, immune boosting. Vitamin C is going to be immune boosting. And acetyl cysteine will help with the lungs and mucus. And also decreases viral replication. Elderberry kind of works on that neuraminidase pathway and inhibits viral viruses as well. Reishi or medicinal mushrooms, immune boosting. Those are just kind of 4 or 5 right there. Of vitamin A, cod liver oil, really helps with the epithelium and helps improve immune function. What else, Evan, do you want to add?
I would say oral and nebulized glutathione could
Mm-hmm.
be helpful, especially if you're someone who does actually end up with some lung problems. Nebulized glutathione can really help to open up that breathing pathway